back to the HaneyBiz Project with host Mark Haney.
How is this mic working now? Welcome back to the HaneyBiz Project, brought to you courtesy of 5-Star Bank, the Entrepreneur's Bank. I'm Mark Haney, and now entering the game for your Sacramento Kings, Scott Moak. How you doing, Scott?
That's pretty good, man. I'm going to have to watch my back. Watch my 6 on that. That's pretty good.
Now, Scott, you are a nationally renowned public address announcer for the Kings, but you're also the director of the Kings Foundation.
Yep.
We want to get to know you. Who is Independence Day? Or excuse me, what is Independence Day for Scott Moak? Did you ever have an Independence Day?
I think moment? I did. You know, I heard you talking about that in the open. I feel like my Independence Day probably was when I got this job. When I've been the announcer. We're going to be creeping up on 16 seasons that I've been the announcer for the Sacramento Kings, which has just been beyond amazing for me as a person, as a Kings fan, and as someone who grew up in Sacramento. But when I was able to land the job at being, like what you said, the executive director of the foundation and running all of our community impact initiatives and helping the Kings be a good community steward. When I got that job, and so I married both a day job with the Kings and a night job with the Kings, that was probably my Independence Day. That was the day that I just felt like, man, this is what I wanted. This is what I was shooting for. I didn't know that necessarily, but it was a really special day.
Well, you had been doing things in the charitable giving area all over Sacramento for years, and then being recruited to be the Kings executive director for the foundation. Tell us what that process looked like.
Yeah, years ago. I mean, if we back way up as part of my announcer process in 2000, in the year 2000, they had an open tryout for the Kings job, for the Kings PA job, and I tried out along with 160 other schmucks that wanted to yell into a microphone like me, and they narrowed it down. I got into the final 4, and I got a call. And a couple weeks later, and they told me I didn't get the job, and it was brutal. I was still relatively young, and I swore it was mine to take, and out
of 160, that's like American Idol, right? They've narrowed it all the way down to 4. And you did not get the job.
I didn't get it. And it was pretty devastating, I'll say. And I had to quickly regroup. I remember thinking, all right, I can't let this knock me completely off the horse. I've got to figure out how to continue forward. And I did. And I kept, whether it was Sac State or other events that came to town, I would always stay involved and still kept announcing. Meanwhile, working, like what you said, I've always worked in nonprofit social services mostly. That's my background, 18 or so years working in nonprofit, got my master's in marriage and family therapy. So if I ask any of you how you're feeling at any given time, I apologize in advance for that.
No problem.
But
we're going to need some advice on that a little later too, if you don't mind.
My billable
it's always
rate,
helpful.
My billable rate is still pretty high. I continued on with that, with the day job part of helping people, helping this community while announcing at night. And then luckily, 2 years later, good fortune, I get a call asking if I wanted to come back and almost do a little bit of a retryout. And it worked out to where they offered me the ability to be the full-time or ongoing public address announcer for the Kings, and that was in 2002, and I've been doing it ever since.
Where were you doing the announcing prior to the Kings?
I went to John F. Kennedy High School in South Sacramento. My dad was a teacher there, a coach there, and ultimately the athletic director there. And when I came back from Davis, which is where I went to undergrad, he needed some help at school at Kennedy.
Yeah,
so
your dad's a coach there.
He was a coach. He was a coach and athletic director there at the time. So he asked if I would chip in and be his announcer. He basically didn't want to pay anyone. That was really the bottom line.
So you're doing the announcing for high school.
You bet. I did girls basketball. I did boys basketball. I did football. I mean, basically anything with a ball at that high school. I felt like I was announcing back then, and it was great because I was cutting my teeth. I didn't really know it at the time. Looking back, it was great training. I was announcing a whole variety of sports. I was learning, kind of how you could do it and the different ways to do it, and having a whole lot of fun and watching sports. Like, I mean, because that was so much part of my fabric and DNA growing up was being involved with sports. So it was a great opportunity for me.
So you don't get the job. 2 years later, you get called back in. What happened?
Yeah, they called and said, hey, you know what? It was Arco Arena at the time. We're getting a new sound system put into the building, and it was a very exciting time. They were making a considerable investment into upgrading the sound system. So they called and asked if I would come in and test it out, actually. Just, hey, we want to hear like an announcer, like someone yelling, in announcer voice.
Test the audio system.
Yeah, highs and lows.
System.
You got to ring it out, as they say in the audio biz, right? So they wanted to hear how that would sound. So they call me in, and I get there, and all the employees and executives and a lot of people had come down into the bowl of an empty arena on a random, Tuesday or something, middle of the day. And they're just sitting in the seats, and the audio company that was installing and lifting all the speakers, they're there, and they're making all these tweaks. And the guy just hands me a microphone, and he's like, all right, like go ahead.
Test it out and test out the system.
And I'm like, I don't know, what are you talking about? Like, So I literally just started walking around the bowl, and I knew enough people from my time, connecting with the Kings and staying connected with them. That's probably one of the keys for my just own personal business. And part of what you would say to people is stay connected where you can, right? And I did do that. So I knew a lot of people, and I'm literally just walking around saying, like Mark Haney, like I'm announcing weird things and like saying their names and imitating other announcers and just having some fun with it. And everybody was cracking up. And what I didn't know is that was really kind of another informal tryout that they were asking me to come back. And so I hand over the microphone after. I told them, thanks for letting me come in. And they called me a couple hours later, and that's when they offered me the job.
You get the job, and now you've been doing it like 18 years?
16. So this will be season number 16. So 2002 is when I started. That was my first year. And it's been great. There were some really good times back then. I mean, we had one of the best records, home records in the NBA back in 2002 and 3 and 4. We hit some lean years, as you guys well know. Most Sacramentans know that we hit some tough times, but the fans have stuck with it ever since. Yeah. Obviously, we got into some really dark days with some of the relocation, stuff that was happening around the team potentially moving. But boy, we arrived 3 years ago, right? We arrived, and everything worked out for the city and for fans and for me personally. It's been amazing to see what's happened.
Yeah, despite the ups and downs, you have remained constant in your enthusiasm. I go to a lot of Kings games.
I know you do.
And you have remained...
I see you.
Every once in a while I sit in the front row. I get lucky enough to do that. But, you have remained enthusiastic, even at times when it's difficult to be enthusiastic. How do you do that?
What's funny about that is being told about enthusiasm from a guy like you, I mean, give me a freaking break for a second. Like, come on. You wrote the manual. I guess the way I think about it is I was coming to games. My dad was bringing me to games when the Kings first moved to Sacramento. I was 12, 13 years old. I can remember sitting, watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play in Arco 1. I can remember Dr. J. I can remember those experiences I had as a kid. And I guess I think about those kids that are coming. So, let's call it the middle of 2008 when the Kings are really, really bad. We're at our worst. But there's a kid there somewhere. There's a 12-year-old boy that his dad brought him for the first time to a game. Yeah. And I just felt like it's my duty not to slough off on that kid. I don't want that kid to have a bad experience. It's his first game. The kid deserves to have a fun time, whether we win by 30 and it's a super exciting night, or, unfortunately we lose by 30. Either way, from the entertainment perspective, we always felt like we owed it to that kid and every other kid that comes for the first time to let him have as good of experience as we can, knowing that we can't control the outcome of the game on the entertainment side, but we can do our part, making them have a little bit of fun and maybe catching a free mini ball and enjoying a video or pulling a lion's tail. I don't know, but that's kind of what I use to keep that energy up. How
did you develop your style? Because it's unique among people that do your job.
For sure. You can hear, I don't have necessarily that deep James Earl Jones. That's not my shtick. I've never had that. I wasn't blessed and born with that. I always just felt I use kind of this, as you can relate, I yell a lot more than what people people probably are used to in basketball environments, but it's a game I feel like that actually caters to that a little bit. Like you can have a little bit more excitement. I also tend to be less formal. You go into some arenas around the country, whether it's baseball, football, or basketball, and it feels very formal and regimented in terms of what the announcers sound like and say. And I don't do that. I feel there's times where I'm having more of like a conversation with like Ted Gaines in section 109 or something like that, right? Or whatever, right? Like, I mean, just a fan where like we're talking, he's on the big screen and I'm watching him and I can talk to him like a normal guy. Like that's how I go about it. You
relate to the fans. Well, the fans at Arco and Golden One, I mean, we have the best fans in the NBA. And I think we have the best announcer in the NBA. So you guys, we sort of are doing this together, and, you know, makes me think about keeping the Kings here. Yeah, there have been some ups and downs, but one of the best things that happened to Sacramento and especially for entrepreneurship is the fact that we found a way to keep the Kings.
It really was a full city effort. Obviously, there were leaders all the way at the top. Vivek Ranadive, obviously our owner, who stepped up in a unimaginable way and saved this city and made that investment to keep the Kings in Sacramento. The mayor at the time, all the city council, Darryl Steinberg, who was a unsung hero in all of this in terms of what he did in the state capitol to change some things, had some friends that also chipped in big ways on both sides of the aisle and made some really big decisions to help make it possible to get that arena done and keep the team in Sacramento. I mean, it really took a lot of people, a lot of social capital, a lot of real capital, and it did. It ultimately allowed us to springboard into what is a very healthy and vibrant Sacramento business community. You know, people, I just came from downtown, just literally just came from Golden One Center right around the area. And I mean, it's packed. People walking around, eating lunch outside. And that's just different. Like we never could have imagined. I mean, some people you probably could have imagined, but I don't think everyone thought that that's what could happen.
Yeah, you don't have to be a basketball fan to appreciate what keeping the Kings means to the confidence for us business people thinking about what are we going to do with our business. Some people are thinking about leaving Sacramento. We're leaving California. I mean, keeping the Kings here makes us all want to build around what you're doing.
That's right. I mean, you know, it's the rising tide, right? You want to where we're helping in the core with the downtown core, we know that that's going to extend out up into the periphery of Sacramento, into all the other communities, and help, whether it's business, helping other people be more successful than what they already are. I mean, we're seeing it already. We see these businesses springing up downtown. It's super exciting to watch it happen too. These announcements of these businesses and restaurants and bars and different places coming in to the fold. It's such a fun time in Sacramento.
Fun time in Sacramento. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more with Scott about the Kings Foundation and about hometown patriotism and about the Sacramento Kings. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of DCA Capital. This is the HaneyBiz Project.
Welcome back to Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the HaneyBiz Project.
Welcome back to HaneyBiz Project, brought to you courtesy of the solar experts at Sun System Technology. I'm Mark Haney, and today I am rejoined by Scott Moak, the public address announcer and the executive director of the Kings Foundation. We've been talking basketball. We've been talking about what it's like to be the public address announcer. But let's talk a little bit more about basketball. You guys had a draft a couple days ago. You guys did we did well.
We did good, man. I mean, in Vlade we trust. I mean, he's been saying, you know, he was ready to dominate this draft. He put together a all-star team of executives around him and people that really their basketball IQ is so high. Scott Perry, Luke Bourne, these new Ken Catanella, all these new names that are new to Sacramento that are helping him make these big decisions, and he killed it. I mean, he just absolutely killed it. We got, I mean, nationally rated, you know, as high as you can be rated for a draft, and it should be an exciting year.
Yeah, did a great job from the executive level, but I mean the Kings, they picked up some pieces, right, at guard. You know, they got a point guard.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox,
and like the best player in Europe is now on the team.
Yeah, Bogdanovic. Yeah, they signed that was an acquisition last year, right? That was our draft choice from last year that we got through some trades, and the other three guys. I mean, the National Player of the Year, we got a guy that just won the NCAA championship championship with North Carolina, Justin Jackson, and then you have Harry Giles, who in 2016 was the top recruit in the nation. I mean, so many people are saying and theorizing that this could, if it goes well, and even if you hit on half of them, it was a great draft.
So the basketball team's getting better. The arena got a heck of a lot better. I have a lot of fun there. We got going to concerts and that kind of thing. But what it's doing for downtown, but the arena itself, for people who have never been there, how would you describe Golden One?
I mean, it is just, Vivek likes to call it this communal fireplace that we all need to go to and experience. Yeah. And it really is doing that on a daily basis. Whether I said, people out there eating lunch right now and then being together, coming from all different parts of the corners of downtown, to coming together and seeing a show, an ice show or a concert or a game. It is such an experience all the way from the moment you come in. Hopefully even before that, parking is super smooth for you and easy, and traffic is no problem. And you come in, you're going to eat some of the best food. You're going to have some great elements of it through that are just uniquely Sacramento about the building, knowing that it's the most sustainable building in the world, knowing that it's the most technologically advanced building in the world, and whatever you're there for, you're going to see a great product and a great show. And it's been a great year. We have some really big plans for things coming in the next year and following years. So we got to keep banging.
No doubt. We have to be at our very best, and that happened in the draft, but that also happens with the Kings Foundation. We talk a lot about hometown patriotism, love of our hometown, and what's not to love about what you guys are doing at the Kings Foundation.
Yeah, I appreciate you wanting to talk about that, and I know that you, for a long time, have said, a strong business can be stronger when you're doing some community element, when you have a community element woven into your business. And so we do that. Our mantra with the Sacramento Kings and our foundation work and our community work, it's do good. That's what we say at the end of the day, do good. And we use that every single day as our anthem. And we have focused in on a couple priority areas: health, education, sustainability, where we're really, really pushing some really fun initiatives and doing some really imaginative things to really help communities, not just here in Sacramento, but beyond. And we're making some great impacts. It's been a really fun ride to see how we can use basketball to improve people's lives.
You're making an impact on our young people too, aren't you?
That's the goal. I mean, whether it's through kids participating in our Junior Kings program, which is now just booming, getting more basketballs in more kids' hands than ever before, which obviously is great, not just for fan support, future fan support, and making kids, getting them possibly involved in sports, but getting them healthier, getting them around other kids, and teaching them other lessons through the game of basketball. That's certainly one way. We've got lots of different projects that we're doing in schools and partnering with, small little organizations called UNICEF. And, so it's a really exciting time. We've done a lot so far, and we're excited to do a lot more.
Well, you think about, you played sports, your dad was a high school coach, right, and the things that we learn out there on the court or on the football field or the baseball field, these are things that in many cases, you can't learn anywhere else. I mean, and you guys are helping provide some of that inspiration.
You bet. I mean, those lessons that you can get from sport, they're not replicable. Like you can't get other experiences like that. And we certainly use that to our advantage. And some of that is we use our players, because we know that, if Willie Cauley-Stein tells a kid that reading is important, that kid thinks reading is important, period, because Willie Cauley-Stein said it.
Yep.
And so we use that to our advantage. I mean, we take these guys out. They are great community ambassadors. That's the one thing about having the team we have now. These guys are totally dedicated. They're all in on doing good. They know it makes them feel great. They know what they came from and how they got some help in their lives at some point. And so it's been a dream come true to be able to help Sacramento in this way, and using the Kings to do that.
Scott Moak of the Sacramento Kings, we are so happy that you persevered and found a way to come back and get the job as the PA announcer. But you know what? We're happy that you and the group of Kings that kept Sacramento's beloved basketball team here at home. We are so appreciative, and on behalf of Sacramento, I want to thank you, Scott, for what you do in our community and what Sacramento Kings basketball does for the entire region.
Well, I thank you for that. I'll kick back the love your way. I mean, without passionate fans, without enthusiasts of Sacramento, and people that are willing to hoist Sacramento up to the plateau that we know it can be. I mean, there's been a lot of people who have felt for a long time that Sacramento could be great. You're one of those guys. That this is a way that we can kick it there, right? We can catapult it to the level of city that we know it can be. And so thanks to you for being a fan, for being an ambassador, and for having for banging, Mark.
Yeah,
banging,
I love it, and I appreciate you coming on the show, Scott. When we return, we're going to meet Emmett Spraktes, true war hero, and a hero here at home as well. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Ethan Conrad Properties. This is the HaneyBiz Project.